everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, depending on where you're at. We'll cover them all. I just thought I'd start that way because it's just a little different start. But anyway, Wayne Voles here, Profits Unlimited. Appreciate everybody being here with me. I think I got something really fun we're going to talk about today. And I simply call it, why does your advertising suck? Or what potentially makes your advertising not perform as well as you want it to perform? And these are going to be some things that, being a full service lawn and landscaping contractor myself for 38 years, these are things that I thought would make sense, but they didn't really make sense. When I really sat down and thought about it and drilled down and we start doing more professional advertisings and marketing and things like that, I got a few things I want to share with you that I think, quite honestly, restricted our return rate and our return on investment. And I don't want to see you make those same mistakes. And it amazes me how frequently I'll pick up a flyer, and look at something. Now grab one here real quick. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. Nice flyer. And you don't even need to see the name of it, but it's a nice little door hanger. Very professionally done. But the problem with a lot of these door hangers and marketing things that we see, as I'm talking to companies, is they all want to talk about how cheap they are. What does it say when you have a cheap price on a very professional looking piece like this one is? What's it say? What message does it really send? It could be a very positive message for somebody, or it could turn around and come back to bite you right in the rear. That attracts a clientele that the only thing they're interested in is cost. And do you really want to attract somebody just because you're the cheapest? I don't think so. We're not talking about selling today, but I think what we really got to think about is when we're the cheapest and we're hired because we're the cheapest, and let's just call it what it is, the cheapest, because that's the goal that a lot of people have in our industry for some reason. Well, I can do it cheaper, I can do it cheaper, I can do it cheaper. And when we look at industry standards and what lawn and landscape companies' failure rates are, it makes me understand why they're failing, because we always want to be cheaper. What does cheaper say about your company? It may or may not be sending the right message. Another thing that I see on a lot of nice looking, very well done professional brochures and flyers is, we'll meet or beat anybody's price, or we'll meet or beat our competitor's price. Just let us know what you were paying. Let's think about that mindset for just a minute. I want you to put your thinking cap on for a minute. All right? I don't have a hat here next to me, but as owner operators, we all wear multiple hats, right? Some days we're the marketing guy, some days we're the advertising guy, we're the sales guy, we're the production guy, we're the call and handle the complaint guys. So, but for right now, everybody just work with me. Let's have a little fun. Act like if you don't have a hat on, act like you got one. Let's put our advertising hat on. We got our advertising hat on now. Let's get in the advertising mode. What's it say when you say you'll meet or beat any competitor's price? I think it can send the wrong message. I think the message that predominantly sends to somebody is, number one, I'm hungry. We'll come back to that aspect here in a minute. But I think it also says you don't understand cost. And you know what, Miss Smith, just tell me what you've been paying. We'll meet or beat the price. The other message I think it sends, and I think the mindset that we were in when we used to use that type of mentality on our advertising, quite simply was, we thought we were Walmart. We're so programmed to looking at walking into Walmart and seeing we'll meet or beat any competitor's price. Right? How many times haven't you walked into Walmart or another store and that's what their signage says? We'll meet or beat anybody's price. And you're thinking, well, if it works for Walmart, why not emulate them? They're a very successful company, Wayne. You sound stupid telling us not to do that. Let's look at that for a second. What does Walmart have that you don't have? Think about that for a second while I get me a little refreshment. What does Walmart have that you don't have? They've got thousands and thousands of items laying around that store, right? How many times have you walked into a store and you just price matched something with somebody and you walked out with that one individual item? Doesn't happen much, right? My son Daniel, he's helped me save a lot of money going to Walmart, quite honestly. Because he doesn't like to shop much. But when we go, he's got a rule that we can't take a cart. Because he knows I'm the person that would go in for one item and leave with a grocery cart full of stuff. And although they've price matched a camera, a fishing pole, or whatever, fill in the blank, I've walked out of that store with a lot of their other products at a higher margin. So what you got to ask yourself is, if you're using this mentality of we'll meet or beat anybody's price, how many other services are you going to sell that customer? Number one, how diversified are you? But number two is, the bad thing about we'll meet or beat anybody's price, you know, when these large box stores meet or beat a price, it's a one-time sell, right? You get that one item, you leave, you come back later, you buy a bunch of other stuff, or you get a bunch of other stuff then. But when you meet or beat a competitor's price, what are you giving that customer? You're not giving that customer a one-time discount. You're giving that customer a discount over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and no, this isn't stuck, and over and over and over again. That one-time discount that you're getting at a big box store, you're giving your customer, depending on where you're at in North America, anywhere from 20 cuts a year to 50 cuts a year. You're giving that same discount 50 times. And now, not only are we doing it this year, but you know what most of us do statistically? Statistically, most of us in this industry do not have a price increase from year to year. As a matter of fact, companies with 2 to 11 employees are 79% less likely to raise their prices within a 5-year period than a bigger company is. So now you've met or beat a competitor's price, and if you look at the industry standard, and I hate to use industry standards because it puts you right out of business, but if you look at the industry standard on this, you're going to continue to mow that customer's lawn 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years before you have a price increase. And that's a completely different talk on how we raise prices without losing customers. It certainly is on our YouTube channel and our podcast. You can look at it. That's why you don't want to meet or beat anybody's price. Another thing I see that's just kind of fun to talk about is, you know, we all put fully insured on our trucks or on our business cards or, you know, on our marketing pieces. We want to list fully insured. And I did that back in the day, many years ago. And an attorney that was one of our customers at the time, he said, Wayne, he said, I'm just curious, why do you have fully insured on this piece, this marketing piece? I said, well, because we're fully insured. He said, are you? And I started thinking about it. And I ask you, if you've got fully insured on anything, are you fully insured? The easy answer is yes. But here's what our attorney told me. He said, Wayne, he said, I want you to visualize something. He said, I want you to visualize going down the street in your truck and you run a stop sign and you hit a car, and in that car are 5 women. And all 5 of those women are pregnant. And now you've got 10 dead souls. Tragic accident, probably never happened. But in the event that does happen, are you fully insured? That turned the light on for me. He said, Wayne, he said, you need to take fully insured off there. He said, put insured on there. He said, you never have enough. There's always a situation where you've never got enough. He said, something you got to remember, Wayne, and I remember this, and this goes back 30 years probably. He said, there's 650,000, and I don't know that that number is the right number, but that's what he told me, and it's stuck in my mind all these years. He said there's 650,000 attorneys just like me out there and across the United States. And he says, we are constantly looking to litigate something. And when we see fully insured on an ad, man, it's like going to a buffet table. We know they probably don't have enough, but we know they got a lot. Don't put that target on you. You're insured. You're never fully insured. Another thing to think about is 2 free cuts or 1 free cut. I see that on a lot of marketing and advertising information that goes out. You know, why do we feel like we got to give a free cut or 2 free cuts? Why do you feel like that? Ask yourself, why do you feel like that? Why do you feel like you got to give somebody a free cut? Do you feel like that because you don't feel like you're providing a good enough service that you can only lure something in or somebody in with something free? We all like free things, but when we tell somebody they're getting something for free, what are most of us really smart enough to know? How many times haven't you joked about it, or haven't I joked about it? When you're talking to somebody that's you're getting ready to buy something from a salesperson and say, by the way, we'll throw this in free. And you're thinking, yeah, right, I know I'm paying for it. Let's look at it from another angle. That's the fun angle to look at it. Let's look at it from a business perspective, though. You say, well, I can give away a free cut, and and I don't know how many of you guys know this, what your customer acquisition costs are, and we'll talk about that in another video. You think, but I can give away a free cut, less expenses than my customer acquisition costs are, so if I can get multiples, it'll make sense. Maybe so. Maybe so. We're not going to sit here and debate that, but I certainly we can talk about the goods and bads of that mindset as well. But the other mindset that I want to key in right now is according to the Green Industry Benchmark survey that's done, 2017. Most lawn and landscape companies across North America as a whole are making less than 10% net profit. I got a YouTube and a podcast on this. You can go listen to it. But here's the takeaway I want you to know from this. If most of us, or half, are making less than 10% profit, that understand it, that understand profit margin, how to calculate it, and I say that with all due respect, not criticizing anybody, and you give away 1 free mow. Let's just use 1, not 2, 3, or any more. Let's just work with 1. What does that mean? How long does it take you to recover that free mow? If you're at 10%. Quick math on that says, man, I gotta mow that lawn 10 times to cover the 1 that I gave away. Just to break even. So now I've mowed that lawn 11 times for a customer before I start thinking about making any margin on it. You say, well, what's wrong with that? Let's think about where those 11 mows normally come into play. They normally come into play when? because we're doing our marketing and advertising predominantly when? Spring of the year, right? It's that push. So what's the grass doing in the spring of the year normally? Put your thinking cap on a minute. I know some of you guys have already got the answer. Some of you ladies already came up with the answer. But what's the grass normally doing in the spring of the year? The grass is normally growing as we get the most production out of grass in the spring that we get all year long, right? So what's that mean? That means we've invested more time and effort in those 11 cuts than we will invest in that lawn the rest of the year. And if that customer leaves you during those first 11 cuts, you've worked in the hardest time of the year for absolutely $0. You've done nothing other than create cash flow. That's why I'm not a big fan of giving a free cut. Certainly not a fan of 2 free cuts, which I see all the time as well. So think about what you're giving your customer. Another thing I see as a mistake is flyers that go out with 20% discount or 10% discount or 50% discount for you and your neighbor. Now I've got the originals to all these. I just don't want to put them all up here in front of you, but I'd be happy to show them to you. But I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I've got the originals of all these from all over the country. You say, well, that don't happen in Detroit, Michigan, or that doesn't happen in Sarasota, Florida, or that doesn't happen in Boise, Idaho, or that doesn't happen up in Bangkok, Maine. It happens everywhere. Trust me, I've got them from everywhere. Why don't we want to give a 20% discount for neighbors? Your mindset, and the way my mindset used to work with that was, yeah, it makes sense. I'm already there. I can do 2 yards. I don't have the windshield time going from lawn A to lawn B. I can give them a discount. Sure you could. Sure you can give a discount. But what happens when you give a discount, and when we give that discount, and why give the discount when you get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 yards in a row? Ask yourself this question. Why do we get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 yards or more in a row? Ask yourself that question right now. Why do you get multiple yards in a row? You know, you've been mowing a yard or 2 or 3 right together, and the neighbor comes out and says, hey, Daniel, y'all do a really good job over there. Can y'all mow my yard too? Well, sure. Can you give me a discount? You know, since you're already here? We want to give it away, right? 20% discount for you and your neighbor. I think if you try something a little different that just says, you know what, Miss Smith, I'd love to give you a discount, but I can't, and here's why. We started on this street with 1 yard. We've added multiple yards on this street because we do a good job and we show up. That's why you're out here talking to me now, right? Because your person's either not showing up or they're not doing a good job. We don't give discounts for multiple lawns in a row because we know at some point in time you might move or your neighbor might move. They might get a new job and be relocated. We don't want to have to come back to you at that point and say we need to raise your price. You know we do a good job. You know we're going to be here every week like we say we are. Isn't that worth something to you? I think if you ask a customer that wants you to provide service for them because you are already doing the neighbor's yard, you'll see and they'll understand that mindset. Remember, they approached you. They see the good work that you're doing. Don't give that 15% away or 10% or 20% away. You don't have to do it. Let's flip this whole cycle around a second. Every day, me as a commercial lawn and landscape guy and you as a commercial landscaping service, mowing service, what do we buy a lot of? Every day. Or every other day. We buy a lot of fuel, right? You go in, you fill your trucks up, you fill your mowers up, you mix your 2-cycle up. When's the last time you walked in to the gas station and said, I just got 56 gallons of fuel. What's my discount? What are they going to do? They're going to say, we don't care if you get 1 gallon or 400 gallons. The price is the price. And you're going to pump 56 gallons of fuel and pay the price on the pump. Why? Because it's convenient. You're there. You're going to do it. They don't cut their margin. Why? Because they understand the need for a company to make a profit. As an industry, we always look for ways to give away our margins. And that's why when you look at these green industry benchmarks and these surveys that are done by all these magazines, Lawn and Landscape, Landscape Management, and we look at failure rates and lack of profitability, we're all putting it upon ourselves. We got to spin that around and look at ourselves as a company and a business and understand why we're in business, and that's to make a profit, and we don't always have to do it for cheap. Keep your, you're already using a professional looking piece. Keep it professional, not just from a look standpoint, but make the offer more professional. Sell benefits, not features. People don't care if you got huge lawnmowers. It's another whole talk. But what's the benefit to what you do and what I do to most of our customers? The benefit is we are providing a service, number one, that generally is a want-based service and not a need-based service. They want somebody to mow their lawn, right? Because they don't want to fool with it. What are we really selling our customers in the residential market? What are we really selling them? We're selling them free time. We're giving them back their free time to take their kids to practice, to go to the lake, to go play volleyball, to go play this, to go do that, to be involved with their kids, to go golf. That's what we're giving people. We're giving them back their free time. Promote that on your pieces that you're passing out. Take back your free time concept. That's what people are really interested in. How many of you guys know what this is? This is an ad that we're using currently. You might be looking at it and saying, well, flip it around. Dummy, you got it on the wrong side. What is that? It's not a blank sheet of paper. I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's a polar bear in a snowstorm. Don't you see the polar bear there and it's snowing all around him? I know what it is. You mean you don't see that? If you don't take anything else away from this talk today, take that away. Don't put out polar bears and snowstorms to your customers or your potential customers. Just because you know what you want to say doesn't mean that's what your customer wants to hear. Does that make sense? What I mean by that is, just because it's appealing to you doesn't necessarily mean it's appealing to your client. You got to figure out your clients, figure out what they want. I know that's a polar bear in a snowstorm. You probably didn't know that. Don't spend the time and money and effort to put out polar bears and snowstorms. Know what your customer wants. Put that out there. Keep it professional. And be sure to do it consistently. And I'll wrap this up. We'll talk about this. How important consistency really is with your advertising and your marketing. Too many times I talk to guys and contractors and women, and doesn't matter what the gender is, and they're like, I'm going to put 10,000 of these out, or I'm going to put 1,000 of these out, or I'm going to put 100,000 of these out. The volume doesn't matter for the sake of what I'm trying to point I'm making. The volume is going to be based on the size of your company and what you're trying to achieve, right? But just remember this. Let's just say you're a smaller company and you decide you're going to put 5,000 marketing pieces out there. Statistically, you're going to be much better not passing 5,000 out at one time. Okay? Take 1,000, for an example, and pass them out to the same people 5 times. Or take, a third of that and pass it out to those people 3 times. Because statistically, when you look at it, consumers as a whole forget what they saw the first day by a ratio of about 25%. So that means you throw this flyer in my mailbox, I'm having a bad day at work, I come home, I see it, but I don't think about it. 25% of those people forgot they ever got it the first day. 85% of the people forget about it in 4 days, and almost 100%, 97% of the people forget about what they got within a week. Think of yourself. How many times aren't you sitting there listening to the radio, driving down the street, and you're hearing ads with your music? Or you're watching TV. When you're at home watching TV tonight, if you watch TV or you're listening to music, ask yourself, 4 hours from now, what was that ad I heard? Or what was that ad for that on that radio station I heard? You're not going to remember it. Consistency is more important. I know a lot of you people have kids, right? I had 4 children, blessed with 4 healthy children. Where's the first place a lot of them wanted to eat when they could first start speaking? Most of them say what? McDonald's, right? Let's go to McDonald's. They might say it 50,000 different ways, but they want to go to McDonald's. Or they want to go to Chick-fil-A now. But why do they want to go to McDonald's or Chick-fil-A? It's because they're constantly seeing it. They're constantly seeing it. Even as a child, they're seeing it. And now the parents are taking them. It's consistency. None of us have the budgets of McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or any other large corporation. But what we can do is look at those very successful large corporations and see what they do. And what they do is consistently promote their goods and services to us. Those are the ones we're going to remember. So as a summary, to wrap this up, you don't have to be the cheapest. You don't have to be, 2 free cuts. Sell the benefit, not the feature. Sell the free time in your advertisement. Keep it professional. If it looks professional, it presents itself professionally. In other words, it's well done. The verbiage is professional on it. You're going to attract that type of clientele. And that type of clientele is willing to pay a better price. You're going to attract a better client with better advertising. It's just that simple. Remember, profit's not a dirty word. But we got to have the systems in play to attract the right clientele that will allow us the opportunity to charge the right amount to make a fair profit. Be sure to subscribe to our Profits Unlimited channel, our YouTube channel, our podcast channel, and we got more good stuff coming. Thanks and have a great day.